Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. As always, it is a pleasure. Absolutely lovely to have you here. I want to talk about the power of doing hard things and why doing hard things is a worthwhile endeavor. I had a mentor about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. This was back during my rock climbing days. And he was this older fella, maybe in his 50s or 60s at that point. I can't remember. His name was Hollywood Hans Florine. And he was famous back in like the early 90s and 2000s as a rock climber. He had these long flowing blonde hair. He was this gorgeous rock of a man. And by the time I met him, he was later in years, but he was still crushing it. He was still a really great rock climber, and he held I think he might still actually hold the speed record for climbing the nose on El Cap. It was like 2 hours and 40 minutes with Alex Honnold. I think he still holds it, which is just an impressive feat. Like that climb, for context, usually takes people, new climbers that have never done it before. And when I say new, like they're very experienced climbers, but if it's their first time on it, it will take them 3 to 4 days easily to do that climb. And then even experienced climbers, will take 2 days. And so the fact that they do it in like under 3 hours is an absurd amount of climbing. Anyways, Hans had this catchphrase, and the sticker that he'd give to everybody, had a bumper sticker. His license plate said, "Do hard things." And I always thought it was so simple, and it's just a really good guiding principle for life. Because by doing hard things, you increase your capacity for doing hard things, which then makes life so much easier in the long run. And this reminds me of a quote from Jerzy Gregorek, who wrote the book Happy Body, which is a pretty good book, actually. He said, "Easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life." And I think there's a lot of power in this, like simple little phrase, which is that if you make the easy choices in life, like you do what's convenient, you take the food that's like at hand, but not necessarily the one that's going to fuel you. If don't make that phone call to that client, or that cold call, then your downstream life, your those easy decisions are going to lead to a hard life, because you're not going to make the money that you wanted to make because you didn't make that extra call, and you're not going to have the body that you wanted because you ate what was easy, not what was prudent. Whereas if you can make the hard decisions in the moment, and you can say, "I'm not going to eat that crap that's right there and easy to get to and tasty. I'm going to prioritize eating well and taking care of myself. And I am going to do that hard thing, which is to make that phone call, or to do the work that I don't really want to do, but I know if I do it downstream, it's going to make the rest of my life easier." And I think that's such a powerful thing to keep in mind, because the biological you, the one we talk about this all the time, the biological you, the one that's governed by your brain and by centuries, millennia of evolution, it was designed to keep you alive and to survive, not to thrive. And so taking the easy route is always the best option for the brain, like getting those berries with the sugar and getting it the nutrients, and then going and vegging out and on the couch and being safe, but also mentally destimulated, so we're not consuming a lot of extraneous calories. That's what your brain wants, right? The biological you wants the easy choices, but the downstream effect of that then is that you're not living your best life in alignment with your greatness, and you're not moving towards a life of thriving rather than just surviving. So we do hard things, and we make it a daily practice so that everything else in life becomes easier as a result. And I know this is hard. Like, of course, doing hard things is by definition hard. One of the big lessons I took away from rock climbing, I get asked this on podcasts, like, "Hey, what's the lesson? Were there any lessons that you found like really transferable between rock climbing to building businesses and entrepreneurship?" And the answer I always come back to is that climbing is a really silly endeavor. Like, it has no intrinsic value to anybody in the world. Like, why would you care that I climbed this piece of rock? You don't, right? And for me, it's not even so clear why I would put myself on that path in the first place. Why seek out this path of difficulty when in many cases there's a far easier way to get to the top of the mountain, right? And yet it is by putting ourselves in the path of difficulty and doing the hard things that we learn where the edge of our comfort zone or our capacity zone is. Like, we learn where our potential ends, and then by finding that edge, we're able to expand it and push a little bit further. And as a result, we become more than what we were. And I think that's why we do hard things, because at the end of the day, the thing that brings humans pleasure, that brings us fulfillment and purpose and meaning, isn't in the attaining of a goal. It's in the pursuit, it's in the progress. Nothing will ever feel better than the progress you make towards the goal. The goal itself and getting it, getting the trophy, getting the book published, getting the sale, will never feel as good as the work that went into getting there and that sense of progress. And so that's why we do hard things. And I would encourage you to think about how you can incorporate a daily discipline practice, something that is by its nature challenging and hard for you, so that you have to face that demon every single day and you have to do the difficult thing. For me right now, that's cold showers. Now, what's interesting is, like, I've done cold showers in the past, and I've gone through periods where I'll do them and then I'll stop doing them because they start to become easy. And that's the thing, is once the hard thing becomes easy, it's no longer serving you. Now it's back into your comfort zone. Now you've adapted to it. Your hedonic treadmill has you've risen to the point where the thing is no longer a challenge. And once you get there, you need to adopt a new discipline, daily discipline. And for me right now, that's the cold showers, because it's been a long time since I did it. So it's hard for me to get in that shower and force myself to do it. But just by doing that one thing, that 3 to 5 minutes of discipline in the morning, of doing the hard thing, the downstream effects makes the rest of my day so much easier, so much better, makes me feel fulfilled right out the gate. So I'm not saying you need to go do cold showers. It could be all sorts of things. It could be making yourself go for that run. It could be forcing yourself to sit down and write. It could be forcing yourself to put out a video every day, because like the social anxiety that you have in sharing your story online, like, gives you so much, pain. Those can be the hard thing that you do. So I encourage you. The lesson here today is try and figure out what are those hard things that you can start to incorporate into your life to start building the muscle of doing hard things. Because the more hard things that you do, the more hard things you're capable of doing. Your capacity increases. Just like going to the gym and working out your muscle, it's the same with your discipline. And this practice of doing hard things is a great way of actually achieving that. So I hope this brought you a little bit of value, gave you a new framework to look at. I'd be curious to hear, like, what are the hard things that you do in your life that have brought you the most value? Do me a favor, find me on social media. You can find me at the Anthony Vicino on Instagram, or just at Anthony Vicino on Twitter, and drop me a message. Let me know, what are you working on right now that's hard and that's making the rest of your life easy? And as always, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again here tomorrow. But until then, stay hyper-focused, my friend.